It's the pop culture show with cult classic swagger. This is Inglorious Brothers. I'm Matt Harper, and together with my brother Justin, we dive into the deep end of the zeitgeist each week to bring you cool talk and hot takes. No genre is too specific, no topic too broad, and no rabbit hole too deep as we open our minds and enjoy each other's company. Sound good? Then let's ride.
Hello and welcome to Inglorious Brothers. I'm Justin, and I'm here with my brother Matt, and on today's show, we're turning it up to 11 with a review of two films that take a big page out of the playbook written by Rob Reiner, Christopher Guest, and Michael McKean and Harry Shearer in the landmark masterpiece, first of its genre film, Spinal Tap. First, we're digging into the final two episodes of the first season of Documentary Now, the fantastic mockumentary TV series, which had its fourth season a couple of years ago. The episodes comprised of parts 1 and 2 of Gentle and Soft, the story of the Blue Jean Committee, about a fake 70s California soft rock band helmed by Fred Armisen and Bill Hader. And then it's The Moment, Popstar Charli XCX's fictional film about her real life in one particularly iconic cultural vibe. Seriously, this episode is going to be so brat. So stick around, or should I say, hello, Cleveland!
Rock and roll.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We are about to take a look at mockumentary films in the vein of Spinal Tap and others. And so first, I guess we can launch into kind of the Blue Jean Committee, and then we'll tackle The Moment, which is a little bit more topical, I would say. It's a little bit more in the moment since it is just from this year. But the first thing I'd say is that, this is one of my favorite genre of film, television. There's not much that I think is funnier than lampooning the news culture and the documentary culture and like how serious celebrities typically, take themselves in these types of things. And, when they started doing this, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it really opened a door and held a mirror to fame that was like, look, man, don't take yourself so fucking seriously, And throughout the years, there's just been such good entries in this category, from the stuff that the Monty Python guys did to the stuff that they do with SNL. I mean, SNL has been doing this, formulaically for years in doing, mockumentary type, content. So it really has its roots in, the televised comedy, spectrum. And so it's neat to kind of digest these two films in the greater kind of world of mockumentaries. How do you feel about mockumentaries?
Oh, love them. I mean, I've been a Spinal Tap fan since basically since it came out almost. I mean, I can remember watching the band performing on Saturday Night Live, speaking of which is interesting because there's a crossover with our first topic, Blue Jean Committee, because that band as a thing actually premiered on SNL on a Jason Segel episode. There was no Hader in the there was no Hader in the band. Hader was actually playing the bartender in that sketch. And it'd be funny, I was wondering if we'd see like a backstory in the movie about how he started as a bartender before he got into the band, but that wasn't a thing. So I would like to learn a little bit more about how like the idea came about. But yeah, there you can look up a Saturday Night Live sketch. Jason Segel is basically like the other front man. He's playing keyboards, and like he and Fred Armisen are kind of exchanging with each other. So
I love
yeah, big
You
fan.
know me, I love Jason Segel. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of the genre. I've seen all of the spin-off films. I think the real, like, the standout amongst, like, from that crew, from the Christopher Guest, Michael McKean crew, I think the standout is Best in Show. That is just a
I'm
goddamn
a
hilarious movie.
I'm a big Mighty Wind fan too, man. A Mighty Wind is so good.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're all fantastic, but Best in Show to me is the one.
I feel like
But
Best
yeah,
in Show is
there's
the gold standard of the genre. I mean, it's you know tons you know tons of just people, just so many recognizable faces playing
yeah, stacked cast.
against and typically playing against character, and oh man, it's
And you can see, like, one of the hallmarks, I think, of this genre, which I would think it's likely, was happening a lot in both of these films, is improv, and all those people come out of an improv background.
yes.
And when you turn the cameras on and you put people who are really, really good at creating characters, being in character, staying in character, and being creative in character, you're gonna get some just absolutely incredible moments that no one could have seen coming, stuff that you couldn't have written. Like, we've got armadillos in our trousers. Nobody ever wrote we've got armadillos in our trousers. like Christopher Guest made that up in that moment. It's one of the funniest things any human being has ever said.
well, and
But
like,
it's not just because it's such an odd line, it's because of his delivery. Like, these people are so talented.
well, and that gives me a perfect intro into this Blue Jean Committee film, is when they first really, like, start to talk to Fred Armisen's character. He's, like, working in the sausage factory, and, like, he's in a legit sausage factory, and it's like he's absolutely taking it totally serious. And, like, I don't know why, like, he's not, like, it's not even like he's saying anything. They're just showing him, like, milling around making sausage and, like, taking a temperature. But there's something so incredibly funny about just watching him, like, in there making sausage. And then when you really, like, because that builds that first layer of, like, okay, this guy's, his music career ends with him in a, working in a sausage factory. But then the bleed through of how important that was to his character's identity and to Hader's character's identity, and how it really, like, comes into play, 30, 40 minutes later into this thing, where, they don't want to, like, one of them doesn't want to perform, but the other one's like, I want money. And it's so funny to me how these guys can come up with these little nuanced, parts, but it just builds that sandwich. It's just layer by layer. It builds that foundation for what comes later on, and it just makes it so goddamn funny. And I will say that the moment was the same way. Like, at first I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but it once it kind of built to the end, like, I was definitely laughing more at the end of the film versus the beginning of the film. So, however, with Gentle and Soft, I was pretty much laughing the entire way through. I thought Hader's character of being the kind of, like, like the jock that just decided he was going to be in a rock band, and it's like, he just pointed at Fred Armisen. It was just like, you're going to be in my group.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good piece of writing, that film. So it's weird to call it a film. I mean, it kind of is a film. When you put parts 1 and 2 together, it's basically like a feature length film. Like a short and tidy feature length film too. But yeah, I mean, you talk about that whole first scene of Armisen's Gene character at work in the meat packing plant, and part of what's so funny is that, number one, Fred Armisen is just a funny looking guy. Like, you look at Fred Armisen and he's a funny, interesting face to look at. And then when you see him portraying a guy who thought he was going to be a rock star, but is now in a meatpacking plant, and you can just see the disappointment in his life choices like dripping off of his face the entire time, and how he like sort of comes halfway back alive when he's being interviewed in the bar and remembering the good times. It's really like it's just such a great performance. I mean, these guys are so good at putting in those kinds of performances. And the other thing that scene sort of makes me think about is how this documentary in particular, it's so good at leaning into like classic documentary tropes. You know, the guy at work in his real job, you're seeing him, you know, doing what is his blue collar job. It's like in remember the Rodriguez movie about the guy, you know, and you see him at work in the whatever warehouse he was working in, or some industrial kitchen or something. You know, it's just a classic trope that they trot out, and you know, Armisen just hits a home run with it.
Well, and then I also found it funny that they were playing the younger versions. They were the only ones, I should say, playing the younger versions of themselves. Everybody else had a younger version and an older version, if you noticed. Like,
yeah.
You know, everybody else they interviewed, and they had the producer guys that were there, and one of those guys is from Deadwood. He's hysterical. You know, and they do a really good job of like sprinkling in these wonderful, like, you know, side characters that become part of the story. But it really boils down to those interviews with each of them, and like how completely polar opposite they were, but they keep going back to like we were just a couple of, you know, sausage, you know, our parents were just sausage guys from Chicago, you know what I mean, and how important that was to their identity. And it's such a funny concept that like they're just two sausage guys from Chicago that decided to make music, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, Hater is so good at like that accent. I mean, those guys are such masters of accents. Like, oh my God, it is so easy for them to be completely convincing as, you know, a guy from Chicago. I love how Bill Hader's Malibu beach house, it's like the most cliche Malibu beach house you've ever seen in your life. You know, that's all
like the white cotton, like just typical like douchebag.
It's just literally a costume that he's wearing, because he's like, yeah, that's what you do. You come out to Hollywood, you get a Malibu house, you wear these kind of clothes. The line where he was like, I got a great view of the ocean, except for that guy's tree right there. And he points to the guy's palm tree. He's like, so I'm gonna have to buy that. He's like, I bought that one, I bought that one, I bought that one. But that guy's palm tree is completely obstructing my view of the ocean. It's like, and then they show the shot, and like, it's not in any way obstructing the view of the ocean. He's like, so I'm gonna have to buy that as well. I mean, he is as big a prick as you possibly could be as in that character.
And it's so funny too, because it's like, the juxtaposition of the two guys, where he was like, you know, he was an asshole in high school, and like, you know, he ends up being an asshole, you know, in the future, and like doesn't do anything for the guy that wrote all the fucking music. Like, he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I own the name, I own I own the back catalog, and like
he literally has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
None.
Like, he's pure evil.
Yeah.
But it's like Armisen portrays Gene in such a way that he's just like, it's hard to root for the guy. He's just a putz.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, you almost can't
let this guy take advantage of you?
Right.
How did you let this guy completely take advantage of you at all turns, all the way up until the end? And what, you know, and then the crux of it being that, like, he didn't, like, that you know, because they went with this California sound, you know, and like, that was their identity, that like vegetarians like started, you know, being their part of their fan base, and how like they, you know, they ended up at a, you know, basically a meat is murder type, you know, show, and that's the crux. Like, it's like, oh, I can't perform for these people, you know what I mean? They think meat is murder.
Fantastic.
Like, my entire identity is is meat culture, which is so fucking ridiculous.
Well, and it's just, it's hysterical how they like how they're almost offended in the other direction. You know what I mean? They're as offended at the idea
totally.
of not eating meat as the vegetarian is at eating meat. Some of the details here are like so good too. I mean, they decide to become this California rock group. Number one, like every one of their songs is as average as it can get. Like the songs are very purposefully not good. They are completely just like milk toast. I mean, the fact that it's called Gentle and Soft, I mean, it's just like the most it's just pathetic. And then their big hit song is called Catalina Breeze. And I swear to God, the word Catalina, the first thing I think about when I hear the word Catalina is salad dressing. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's funny. Whenever I hear Catalina now, I always think of the Catalina wine mixer from Step Brothers.
Yeah, I think of salad dressing, and then you put it together with the word breeze, and somehow it's almost like a douche commercial. I mean, it's just the most soft.
And how about the fact that like the Hader's character made all of his money off of turning out wine coolers. Like right, that's where that's where the big money came from, is that he marketed their image versus or against with wine coolers, and like they had the Catalina Breeze wine cooler, and like a bunch of other. Oh my God!
And the final insult is when he. When he finally meets Armisen and like he brings him a 4-pack of the original flavor of Catalina Breeze. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, and especially so in that moment, you think that they're going to have some sort of like reconciliation or whatever. And he's just like, here, I got you this.
I give them credit for like not having them like have a big makeup thing in the end.
Hell
that
yeah.
was good.
It was the perfect way to end, was like just him and his wife like walking out of that thing, walking out from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. By the way, I loved that Kenny Loggins was like, it's insane that they're getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. They had one record.
right. Like everybody's universally agreed that they're like totally incredible, and yet when actually like put them like making the case, they none of them can really put a finger on why they were good.
Nobody makes a case for it.
Speaking of which, like some incredible like as themselves cameos in here between Daryl Hall, Cameron Crowe, Chuck Klosterman, and the Hyam sisters. So plus Kenny Loggins. Like so great. Speaking of which, speaking of Daryl Hall and Kenny Loggins, if anyone out there has not watched the Yacht Rock documentary that dropped like a year ago on HBO Max, watch that documentary. It is so good. That rockumentary, I should say. It's not a mockumentary. It's a rockumentary, and it is so good. You haven't watched that?
I have not.
It's incredible. Like it's so entertaining. You will absolutely love that. Yeah. Christopher Cross had three. He won 3 Grammys. Mm-hmm. Christopher Cross. We forget 3 Grammys, like 3 years in a row. That guy dominated popular music. It's wild. I did single out one line from this entire film that I find to be the funniest line of the whole thing, but I want to save it till the end. What else do you have on this one?
I have. Well, I picked out one thing that I thought was so goddamn funny when they were talking about the falsetto. Hader goes, they're like, because the interviewees are like, yeah, falsetto's a choice, and goes,
it's Hader's one contribution to the band.
Yes,
like it's the one piece of talent that he has, quote unquote.
Yeah, and he goes, falsetto is a very phallic form of singing. I about lost it when he said that shit. It's
like he's trying so hard to compensate. You keep seeing his eyes darting around like, yeah, it really is. It's really manly.
Just like, oh my God. The fact that he said that it's a very phallic form of singing was just, I thought that was so funny.
And if memory serves, that comes right after like Chuck Klosterman is like he's basically singing like a 7-year-old girl or something like that. Yes, and then here comes Bill Hader. It's a really phallic. It's really manly. It's like it's
the most
aggressive.
It's the most manly form of singing.
So hilarious. Well, I think the absolute funniest line in that entire thing is when they're doing like an interview with like the woman who's playing, I think she's playing like Fred Armisen's sister, and she's talking about like when they were first getting the band together as kids, and like she was like they would go out and they'd play, they'd play this place and that place, and they were ridiculous. But me and my friends, we sure did think it was good. And she's like, I think Doreen Brozazinski blew him, or at least a tug job, or some kind of something took place there.
My wife laughed at that line.
My God, that was hysterical. All those side characters are so good as well. Like all the Chicago accents, absolutely perfect. I mean, it was really funny. I'm glad I had no idea that was a thing.
How about that little throwaway scene where the two music producers were talking about where the recording studio was, and they're like, and there was a Boston Market there, and they're like, there's no Boston Market there. It's like, well, it's not a Boston Market anymore. It's a Panera Bread Company.
Yeah, they're about to like come to blows over like where this thing was, like which block, which corner of this block,
what cross streets it was on,
studio was on. Yeah, that was good stuff as well. I enjoyed that.
Right. So let's jump over to a very, very different sort of mockumentary. I mean, not different completely, but whereas this felt, where Gentle and Soft felt very produced and very, very laser targeted as far as its comedy. This moment, which is this Charli XCX, mockumentary, it has a very real feel to it, man. I mean, like they do a really, really good job of blurring the lines between, reality and fiction, and it has a very, very different feel and a much more indirect, drier sense of humor that goes to it, and it does need some time to like, you got to let it burn a little bit before it really starts to pay off. So how did you come to this movie? Like, because I hadn't heard about it until you had mentioned it.
I heard it crop up on a lot of my critics, best of 2025 lists, I think. I just heard it mentioned by a number of critics, shouted out. And so I was like, oh, I need to, and depending on what was said, I can't remember specifically what was said, but at least one of my main critics was just like over the moon for this film. So somebody said made me, mark it out as like, yeah, I definitely need to see this.
Yeah.
So I watched it, and like I started off with the same sort of like reaction that you had when you first started watching, like, huh? Like, wait, what's going on here? But that's why the first thing in my notes is that in order to enjoy this film, like you have to get on the wavelength. You have to get what is going on. And on second viewing, it's even funnier because I kind of watched it for a second time today as I was taking notes on other stuff. I was letting it roll in the background, and like there is so much funny stuff in this thing if you get what's going on. I mean, almost from the jump, just the titles alone are a self-parody. It's like a self-parody. So essentially the main point of this is that Charli XCX had this whole like brat summer, right? We all remember like brat summer, and it like took over the world for one summer, and it is a fleeting thing. And in this film, all of the people around her are trying to just like make it last another season because it's like the gravy. It's like the gravy train, and that is what what this movie is poking fun at the most part is the silliness of this industry that just wants to chase trends. You know what I mean? And once they got something hot, they want to keep it alive for as long as it can be, and it's fundamentally ludicrous to try to do something like that. And so with that as a starting point, it's sort of poking fun at everything along the way. Like if you just look at the titles of this movie and the way it's like flashing these provocative statements, and like it's just it's so last year, you know what I mean? It's it's like it seems cool, but it also seems like, but this is kind of last year. And in the middle, you've got Charlie XCX, who seems to be the only person in this entire world who knows that like this whole thing is fundamentally ridiculous, which I give her such props for playing the straight person throughout this entire thing.
Well, but what's in, and I found one of the funniest things that I found was like where everybody was like pushing against the the concert film, the fact that like all of those idiots that you were like, why are these people pushing this? Why are they doing this? And then they're all proven to be completely right. Like they are totally able to like they totally extend it, you know, and it goes on and it gets even bigger than it was, and you're just like, and which does speak to, you know, this like dominant social media culture, and it is a real big skewer of that social media, you know, of where we're at with social media and how, you know, social media can literally extend the life of things that far beyond what it should. But this is a perfect example of like all of the people that were inside the mill were like, why are we doing this? Like, this was what we did last year. But they're like, no, we should really do this. No, we should really do this. And none of them see the vision. None of them see the vision from all of, you know, especially like, you know, with Skarsgård, I was like, he does such a great job of playing like, because he never came off as smarmy, but he did come off as like,
He's insufferable though.
yes, arrogant, like in a way
It's
that's
so
like,
passive aggressive.
yes, yeah. But in the end, he's completely proven correct. Like what his goal was totally, like, in the end was totally justified, which is
Right.
crazy. Which I thought that was a really cool way to do it, because you're right. They had her play the straight guy, but in the end, you know, the outcome is not what you expect it to be, or at least not what I expected it to be.
Right. Well, and in the end, the statement is, you see how stupid this culture is, because like all the idiots win. I mean, he is so unbelievably cringe in that movie. His ideas seem so just stupid. He seems completely out of touch when he's like on stage with Charlie trying to like coach her through like what to say, and he's like acting like he's her. I mean, it's so cringe. And it just seems like she's looking at him like, are you out of your mind? I mean, half of her acting in this movie is her just like looking at people like, what? I mean, she is so damn good in this thing. But I don't know if you know, but she is like a big cinephile. And like one of my podcasts regularly kind of checks in with what she's been entering into her letterboxd, because she watches a lot of movies. Like she loves movies. She realizes that she hasn't seen a lot of them. And if you look at her letterbox, you will see all kinds of stuff from all over the place. And because of that, I know that there's absolutely no way that she is not like very much aware of Spinal Tap and has seen Spinal Tap, because I mean, there's certain things in here that have almost a direct homage to that movie. Like when Skarsgård trots out the giant lighter and she has to like get inside of a lighter. I mean,
And
it's so
the super giant
dumb.
cigarette.
Right. It's so ridiculously dumb. But I mean, that right there, there's no way that is not a direct homage to Spinal Tap. You know what I mean?
No, I'm totally with you. I feel the other thing too is that, like, I was like, I was so caught off guard at first, because I was like, what is going on? I also think that one of the problems that I have is that I have very little reference for Charli XCX. Like, I don't really know her music. Like, I know a couple of her songs, but I just don't have a lot of reference for her, like, at all. And so I'm coming into this without a lot of reference for who she is in the real world or in the perceived world. But, you know, so it took me a minute to like really get my bearings with the whole film.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I could even name a single one of her songs, but I'm sort of aware of her cultural presence. I mean, she was, I think, pretty sure she was a musical guest on SNL either last season or the season before. She she I know that like a part of her act is like sort of being a bad girl. You know what I mean? Like that she's got like sort of bad girl vibes and sort of like British, like streetwise kind of thing going on there, sort of in the vein of like an Amy Winehouse type, but more sort of like pop. So I knew that much about her, but I mean, the beautiful thing about this is that's really all you need to know about her to enjoy this movie. You know, the number of just silly, ridiculous details in this thing is extraordinary. I mean, just to like run through a list of some of the hilarious stuff. I mean, you take the gay credit card that the marketing team comes up with. Let's come out with the brat card that's marketed to gays. They're like, because that's who your audience is, and boom, cue the quizzical look from Charli XCX. What? That's my audience? Like, it's just like these ideas are so bad,
Yes,
so
they're
bad.
terrible.
And then Skarsgård comes in, he's changing the font.
Yeah, and then there's like the controversy of the credit card like collapsing and how like everybody is like completely like especially Skarsgård. He's like, I can't be around this. Like and he's like I can't be mired in controversy. She had a giant song, so like you definitely know one of her songs. One of her songs is that song that's I love it, I don't care. I love it. Okay.
I'd have to hear it.
Giant song. Super giant song. And but that's, 10, 15 years ago, probably. But, it's really, so funny to me to see how these, like that portrayal of, controversy versus the popularity, and it's like, and how fickle that industry is, because like as long as you're hot, you're in. And like Rebecca De Mornay, by the way, does a great job. Where the hell has she been? But
wait, what was she playing?
Wasn't Rebecca De Mornay the head of the studio?
No, that was Rosanna Arquette.
No.
Yeah.
Whoa, mind blown. I totally thought that was Rebecca De Mornay. That blows me away. I've been under that impression this entire time.
But anyway, she was, I think, Rosanna or the other Arquette. She's one of the two Arquettes.
But the way that the studio is like totally behind her until that one moment, and everybody is like full steam ahead until that one moment, and they are so quick to like throw her under the bus, and I found that to be so funny.
Yeah. The side character is fantastic. The Rachel Sennett character was fantastic, and then you had what's her name? Kylie Jenner, when she runs into Kylie Jenner playing herself in Ibiza. And just the whole like trip to Ibiza, it was just hysterical. I mean, the lady that's like the massage therapist,
oh my God,
and like once again, Charlie is the straight woman, like just sees right through this woman's bullshit, and like it's just like it just totally goes off the rails. Even like just the side characters, the girl like greeting her at the front desk, and the other one, like every one of those little like throwaway characters are so well rendered. It's just the same way as it is in Spinal Tap, where you've got like those were like sort of the Billy Crystals and Dana Carveys of this movie, where they were just like tiny little things. But
well, and I would bet that if you're British, that you recognize a lot more of those minor side characters.
Yeah.
Like I bet if you're really in tune with British TV and British culture, that you probably recognize a lot more of those guys.
For sure. And I kind of I give not only Charlie credit, but also the film credit for a lot of the ways they like shot her, and especially like in the Kylie Jenner scene, they kept bouncing back and forth from like Kylie Jenner's face, who it is absolute like flawless perfection, like cover of Vogue magazine. Perfect. And then they go to Charlie and like her skin looks like oily and she looks like she's about to break out with a zit or something like that. And she doesn't have
notice that.
her facial structure. It's not a classic beauty kind of a face. It's a very like workaday kind of it's a particular face. It's a memorable face, but it's not a classic beauty face in any way. And like they really lean into that like juxtaposition there in a what I thought it was a very, very effective way. And I give her such props for being willing to be seen sort of warts and all throughout this film.
And I appreciate the fact that they didn't break the fourth wall too much. Like sometimes in these things you can like, there can be a little, with like The Office where you have, that direct line to camera. They did it, but they used it sparingly. In a lot of cases, it was like they used it as self-realization. So like somebody would realize something was wrong or amiss or, shouldn't have been said. And they kind of look and go, oh shit, they kind of give that look like, oh shit, I keep forgetting there's a camera here,
Yeah. Yeah. And some of the like I can remember one very specific one, which was when she was checking in to the spa in Ibiza, and the woman that was hosting her gave like a straight up look to the camera that I found myself wondering, like, is she supposed to be noticing a camera crew? Like, does Charlie have a camera person with her?
I feel like in the beginning of it, they referenced that there was a film crew following her around.
Yeah. The sort of like meta aspects at play in this thing were like pretty cool. There are two sequences in the film that I would like to get into a little bit here.
Sure.
All right. The first one is when they're nearing the end of their rehearsal for this video shoot that Skarsgård is going to be helming, and they're going to put her on the harness. And like when she first gets back from Ibiza, she comes in and they're telling her about how they're going to be lifting her up on a harness. At one point, a mannequin comes crashing to the ground.
And she goes, "Is that supposed to be me?"
It's so great. She's so deadpan in all of these things. Like the looks on her face it's just priceless. She's so good at the thing. She really is fantastic. It's such a really kind of like effortless way. And then
and the answer is also equally effortless. It's like, well, yeah, that is supposed to be you.
And then they put her up there on that thing, and you can see the fear like all over her face, and she is just like hanging there limp. Like, her body language is so great. Like she could, at this moment where she's supposed to be like up there being this like flying above the world and like this amazing moment, she just looks like a limp, like dead weight, like being hoisted above the crowd. Like she's like a cow being lifted off of a boat or something like that. I mean, it's so funny. And, it's when she finally sort of like leans into it and gets it, it has this magic little turn where like suddenly you find yourself like totally getting into it, like she's like in the moment, like becoming attuned to it and realizing the power of this thing, and let me like put my arms this way and lift this leg up, and like it becomes a beautiful little thing, which I think is a neat little trick that the movie pulls off.
That's kind of like how the movie ends, with her kind of being like, once I gave into it, I realized that like, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like it was funny to see, like they didn't see the vision. You know what I mean? They were obviously like, what the fuck is going on? But eventually she does see the vision and is like, I can't remember exactly how she put it, but it was just that she has that bit of a monologue like at the end, or voiceover at the end, where she kind of is like, I once I gave into it, it did end up being pretty great.
Well, it's all leading into what we see at the end of the film, which is the trailer for the film that is about to be coming out. That's the one that's shot by Skarsgård. But what I think is really brilliant, and this is the second sequence that I wanted to talk about, is that trailer. They show the trailer in full, and no sooner have they sort of had her realize there is magic here. This is like, I get it. Like, this is going to be great or whatever. They take it right back with that thing. I mean, it looks good. It looks like it's really cool and everything, but like, if you read the little word blurbs that come up there, they are so priceless. Like, it's like IndieWire says an enormous production. Like, oh really? Oh really? A giant rock star is doing an enormous production? That's the best quote that they can pull from IndieWire, is that it's enormous production. And then like Pitchfork says, forget everything you know about Charli XCX. That is the most like contrived, like how many millions of times have we heard forget everything you know? I mean, just like ridiculous. And then another one says a total reinvention of Brat. Like, totally. Like, oh, Brat needed to be reinvented. No, Brat needs to be retired. Brat is a one summer phenomenon, and the entire premise of this film that we're trying to make Brat extend off into the future is just absurd. And then the capper is at the very end. The commercial finishes. It's like Brat Live. This is Brat Live. It comes to the end and it says, available
Streaming
exclusive
on Amazon.
Yeah, it says streaming on Amazon, and it says be a 365 party girl from the comfort of your own home, which is just a complete contradiction. Like, you are not a 365 party girl if you are sitting in your home watching TV. I mean, just I thought that was brilliant, man. I really
one of the funnier scenes from the beginning was when they were doing the meeting, like the meeting with the record executive with I thought it was Rebecca Norman, but it's actually Patricia Arquette, with Patricia Arquette in the record studio office, and like how it is like the fastest meeting ever. And then the two like record exec guys are like, oh my God, we did so good in it. They were like, we nailed that.
Oh yeah, I mean she is taking the piss out of that entire industry in just a brilliant way. Like I thought it was a fantastic movie. Like, I'm glad you agreed to do it, because I really wanted to find somebody to talk about this film with, because I mean, it is really operating in the mockumentary space. And like Spinal Tap, you said when we first started off that it was interesting how this was like an of the now
version of that. Yeah.
Right. And that's what Spinal Tap was when it came out. Spinal Tap was not looking back to a time in the past. That's one of the fundamental differences between the two films that we talked about today. One of them is like a mockumentary of the type of documentary that you do about something that happened a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Another one was like a much more visceral, here and now, first person, like as it's happening,
behind the scenes
sort of documentary, like an intentionally shot documentary versus,
yes,
oh, let's cobble together a bunch of old footage to make a package. So yeah, really awesome film. I hope Charli XCX continues to create cinematic works or gets onto TV shows or continues to act, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because she's fantastic. I mean, she is hilarious in this movie when everybody around her is really getting like the funny parts, but she anchors the thing in a way.
But you gotta have a straight man.
And she does so much. She does so much with like her quizzical looks and her shocked looks. So loved it. The moment.
Yeah, I had a very good time with this episode. So, if you don't have anything else, we might as well wrap it up until next week.
Hello, Cleveland, baby.
Hello, Cleveland. Thank you for joining us. For my brother Matt, I'm Justin. Take a ride with us on Inglorious Bastards again next week. See you soon.
Rock and roll.
Inglorious Brothers is a Harperama production and a part of the Harperama family of podcasts. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and follow, leave a 5-star review, and most importantly, tell all your friends about us. Thanks for listening, talk to you next time, and, oh yeah, arrivederci.